ball slapping. It's a podcast all about slapping them balls.
Hello and welcome to Ball Slapping, the podcast all about hitting balls around with a paddle, a racket, a hand, or anything in between. If you like these kind of sports, you'll like this podcast. And I'm joined today by my co-host from Spain, Christian Blackaby. How are you doing?
Hello, Daniel. I'm very well. I'm not from Spain, but thanks for the intro.
Well, no, you're not from Spain, but you did join me in my Spanish podcast. So that's the viewers know you from Spain.
Okay. I mean, I would assume that the viewers know me from long-running YouTube hits that we've done together. I can't imagine many have just joined for the podcast, but yeah, so it did call out.
That's very true, very true. Subscribe to the YouTube. And now, of course, we know you from your bedroom in London. So how are you doing, Christian? Have you played any rackety sports this week?
I played some wallball yesterday, but yeah, it's only Wednesday. I didn't play anything on Monday. So yeah, two evenings down, 50-50 success rate so far.
Well, we'll get there eventually with you. Every day is what we want. Now, this week, we're going to be joined by someone who we both know, which is great. It's not an athlete, no offense to him. It's not necessarily a founder of a sport, but it's someone who has been totally and completely integral to the growth of a sport that we both love. So you mentioned wallball, that's also known as one-wall handball. And the guy we've got today is someone who I think is a super guy. He lets us sleep on his sofa when he goes there. And like I say, he's been integral to the growth of one-wall handball, especially in New York, but all around the world. This is our first podcast where we're actually talking to someone involved in the media of sport, which is really kind of cool. So I'm going to bring him in now.
They're the brains with the slaps. They're filling gaps like treasure maps. Ball slapping interview time. Oh yeah, it's ball slapping interview time.
So Phil, welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, Dan. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to do this again because we've done this once before, haven't we?
Yeah, we did a walk and talk interview, which you can see, but this will be going to far more depth, Phil. So you know me, and of course you know Christian, but I think in America he's known as the Crane. Is that correct?
I think that was a nickname that started to catch on a little bit because of his style of play and everything. I liked it. I thought it was a great name for him.
Good. So Phil, what I want to do is have you introduce yourself in a couple of sentences. I want to hear about who you are and what is the media outlet that you basically set up.
Yeah, so my name is Felipe Borges. You can find me online mostly as Phil Pons, PHILPWNZZ, on all like the social media stuff. Or 10's Finest, which is sort of the brand that I've built up over the last, God, I don't even know how long, 6 years now, I think. Maybe more. No, maybe less. April 2019. How many years is that?
Well, about 6 years, yeah.
Quick math. But yeah, it's a brand that's focused primarily on handball, documenting the sport, capturing games and stuff. It's been a huge passion of mine, and I've always had huge dreams and a big vision for the sport itself. So that's really what's been driving me to grow 10's Finest to a place where now it's got almost 250,000 followers combined on all platforms, millions on millions of views in total, and a whole bunch of fans all over the place. So really cool.
Yeah, it's very impressive, Phil. And just to put things into context a bit, because I know it's hard to describe yourself. And I mean, I could probably do it as well, but I have done an interview before. Christian, before you met Phil, you must have come across 10's Finest. So how would you describe 10's Finest to the layman? Not a handball audience, just the layman.
To not handle it. Well, 10's Finest has also evolved over time. So I think when I first came across 10's Finest, which would have been 5 years ago, it was, I guess, like quite a niche recording outfit for big games. And now I would say it is Phil, jump in if you think I'm bastardizing your baby. But like now it's very much grown into not just one wall handball, but like different aspects. You've got 3-wall, you've got other games, and it's not just big games, it's also games that are both in Europe and the US and all over the place. And I think it's like expanding more, and I think the professional quality has gone up as well. So you now have action zoom ins and all this kind of stuff. So I would say 10 Finest for me now is more of like a collection of both big games and also like the short form content or content that people can interact with and comment on. I think there's been a bit more like audience interaction. Like, what do you think of this call that was made? Or do you think you should be out for that? As the American yesterday.
And the answer was yes. But so to put it into context from my point of view, Phil, you're kind of coming to the medium of a sport. So I'm going to try and take it out of the context of handball for a second. But it's the media sport. It's like new wave media. So we're not doing traditional content media, right? We're not doing it's made for broadcast TV. You're part of the social media generation who try to grow something. And in the sport of handball, there's a massive, it's not even a niche, is it? It's like a massive crevasse of a real lack of good quality media, of really exceptional athletes and also the casual player, which needed something to happen. And, you know, there's not just handball, there's tons of sports in the world where people want to film it really well. They want to show off their friends and show off themselves, but they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to gain a following, that kind of thing. So I think today, let's dive into your story and how Ten's Finest came to be and the journey you've been on and what you want to do with it. But then over it, I want to pick out some nuggets along the way that might be useful for other people in other sports who are trying to grow their presence, understand how to like gain a bit of visibility. Does that sound like a pretty good plan?
Let's get into it.
Okay, so take us back to when you were a baby. No, take us back to 2019 and when it all started.
So I guess in late 2018, early 2019, I was living in California, and I kind of was caught in a bit of a standstill. I had gone to California to try to like start my life over, I guess, but didn't exactly work out because some things happened. And I was like, I'm going to go back to New York. I've always had this idea in the back of my mind that I wanted to start a YouTube channel just because I've always been inspired by people that take their own passions and turn it into something that can sustain their lives. So that like people who play video games or people who skateboard or people who just vlog like themselves hanging out with their friend. So I told myself I was going to go back to New York and start a YouTube channel. It was going to be about handball because handball is something that has been a part of pretty much my entire life, like post 6th grade. And you're in 6th grade when you're like 9, 10, 11 years old around here. I can't give the math exactly, but
yeah. And just to interrupt you for a second there, Phil, just set the scene for handball in New York because, we know that handball is a sport where you hit a ball against a wall. So it's a one-wall game. So there's one wall at the front and the court's on the floor, you hit it there. And if you go to like London or Belgium or wherever, like you can go to sports halls where there might be 1 or 2 courts where you can have like a club night. But what's the New York handball scene?
I personally love the handball scene here in New York. I think that it's unlike anything anywhere else in the world that at least that I've seen, in that here in New York City, Queens and Brooklyn and the Bronx, you can like walk 5 blocks in any direction and you're going to find yourself at a park that more than likely has a handball court. It's all completely free. You just bring your own ball and the courts are there to use. And it's not just handball, like it's basketball. There are tennis courts in some places. There are, soccer fields or whatever. The way that free sport and recreation is so accessible to everybody here in New York City is, I think, a model that the whole world should take after, because it's such a good thing for people to have a place to spend their time and be together that doesn't cost money, because everything in this world today costs money, and that it sucks. It's crazy to me. So I love NYC parks. I love handball culture. The way that, I can walk to a handball court that I know and instantly see 30 people shake their hand, be like, hey, what's up? Talk about life and your day or whatever. I think it's a really beautiful thing. So that's sort of setting the scene for what handball looks like here in New York City. It's not really a professional sort of thing, I guess you could say. There's no like league or like official ranking system or anything like that. It really is grassroots, nitty gritty, go to the park, play in a tournament that a guy set up on a Facebook event, that he wrote the bracket on a sheet of loose leaf paper, and everybody's picking names literally out of a hat with like scrunched up pieces of paper. It's more grassroots than anything anyone can think of when it comes to sports. So that's what handball is.
Okay, cool. So, big scene, totally unprofessional in nature. It's ripe for someone to come in and start doing some media. So, yeah, take us back to 2019.
Yeah, so I came back to New York. I started 10th Finest. At the time, so the name 10th Finest comes from a lot of people asking this. The park that I call home is called IS-10. It's really called Astoria Heights Playground. But in New York City, nobody really calls parks what their official names are. We all call them like what they're close to, or maybe the street they're on, or things like that. So for example, 174, which is a very popular park, is called the Painters Playground officially. But we call it 174 because there's an elementary school, I think it's PS 174 right beside it. Grand Street is another super popular one. It's really called Sarah D. Roosevelt Playground, but we call it Grand Street because it's on Grand Street and right beside the Grand Street train station. So my park is called IS-10. It's really called Astoria Heights Playground. Or we just call it 10 for short. Like, yo, you want to go to 10 today? So, like, the original idea was it was going to be games at IS-10, me and my friends hanging out. So it was going to be, like, the best players at IS-10 or 10's finest.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's where the name comes from. And that's how it really started. It was like, if you go back to the beginning, all of the games are at IS-10. I wasn't going to tournaments. it was me and the homies. It has since grown to be, somehow I found myself in your town and lots of other places. Like I'm going to Spain later today, literally.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going all over the world with it now. Like, it's an incredibly impressive growth from someone who, when you started, I think the first video I saw from you, it's on a phone camera at a slightly jilty angle.
It is. That's another thing that, like, to touch on what you were talking about before with, like, sports media and people wanting to grow things for their own sports. And this applies to more than just sports media. I think it applies to, like, everything. If there's something that you want to do, just do it. And don't be afraid, because you're going to suck at first. And that's part of doing the thing, Like you just said, if you go back to my very, very first video, it's Miguel Benesaka versus Ricardo Sosa. And I had my phone attached to my tripod using hair scrunchies, hair knife. The camera is tilted. The editing is trash. There's so many things that are, like, bad about it. Even my reffing. Like, if you listen to, I think I was reffing it. The way that, like, Paul scored, like, robotic and monotone and ugly. And, like, I watched the video and I cringed. But part of me, like, heartwarming that how far I've come from that video. So just do the thing and don't be afraid of being bad at it, because you will get better the more you do the thing.
Yeah. I guess if you, at first you fail, try again. I think that Batman said something like that, or Alfred, something. So Phil, what was the first thing you did that really made you go, oh, we know what, this is successful, this could be really good, and it's something that I now really want to do?
Well, it was always something that, like, I really wanted to do. I think that the first moment that it really took off and exploded was I went to Battle of the Gladiators 3, and that was also in 2019. I recorded the final match. It was Meigs versus Stavo, and that's still to this day one of my favorite games.
Those two are like some of the best players in the world, aren't they? They're, like, incredible to watch.
I went home that night, and I had done slow-mo videos from other angles. I went home that night, and I got straight to editing. I was up until, like, 6 a.m. that day, putting the video together, and then I had, like, as soon as it was done, knocked out. And, like, when I woke up in the morning, I woke up to, like, a few hundred new subscribers and a bunch of comments and people on Facebook talking about 10's Finest and things like that. And I felt sort of like a vigilante, because, like, nobody really knew who I was, but I was seeing comments like, yo, this is the best handball video I've ever seen. Because what separated me in the beginning from everyone else I was doing handball videos was the time that I put into it. Like, I edited the videos so that all downtime in between rallies and during timeouts was cut out. So that knocks out like 30 to 40% of the video right there.
Yeah, I gotta say, watching American handball games, there's a lot of downtime.
Yeah, there's a lot of wipes. There's a lot of, stuff like that. So I cut all that out. I put subtitles for when, like, people talk. They're players, most of it. And I did the slow motion replays, which was, like, a huge thing. People love that. And so there was tons of people, like, commenting, this is the best handball video I've ever seen. Like, who is this guy? I love this. And the subscribers grew by a huge margin after that video. And that's what like really set me up to be on the path that I'm on now.
Yeah, and Kristen and we've both been around your house. I stayed on your sofa, and I think when I've gone to sleep late at night, you are editing a video, and when I've woken up in the morning, you're still editing that video. I mean, the turnaround time, the amount of effort and work you put in. I think this is an important point for content creators that want to do things to a high level. Like, can you talk us through how much time goes into a Ten's Finest production these days?
A lot. Well, to be fair, I'm not editing full matches as much as I was in the beginning. I still do occasionally, like a video I just put out, check out on Ten's Finest versus Loig. I've been doing some more of like the pickup games, like Mikkel versus Timbo and Luke Thompson versus Billy. When I edit a full match, it usually takes me 2 to 3 hours to put that together for a game that's like 20 to 30 minutes because I edit it once all the way through where I cut out all the time, I do all the stuff. And then I review the project to like make sure that it feels super particular, but make sure that it feels like really sharp and like the way that it's supposed to when you're watching it. So I basically edit the game twice. And then when it's done and I export the project as like a video, I watch the video back to make sure that there were no processing errors because that happens sometimes. So, and then combine that with the upload time, looking for a thumbnail, doing all the extra stuff, placing the ad, doing the description, because I like to place ads. I don't want you to get cut off in the middle of a great rally by an ad and be like, why am I even watching this? And then click off the video. I put ads during timeouts. I put ads during downtimes like wipes, mail. So with all of that combined, it takes like 2 to 3 hours.
That's it. And you're doing it like every week, almost every day.
Nah, I mean, so the daily posts I do every day. The daily posts are different from the full matches. The daily posts are like those shorts, the vertical videos that you see with the full video on the bottom and then like the tracking on the top. Those take me like maybe 30 to 45 minutes each. And I do them every day. Very rare that like I set up daily posts like for the week. I'll do like maybe 2 or 3 extra if I know I have like King of the Courts coming up so that I can really like not have to worry about it and free up my time. But the daily posts I do pretty much every day. And I have for, let's see, 2,391 days.
Wow. Okay. What's your favorite platform to be on? Because you're on all of them, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think different platforms serve different purposes. It's really hard to be personal and like connected on YouTube versus Instagram. I think on Instagram, like it's easy to comment and like know who the person is and DM them if you want to like carry on the conversation a little further. I think YouTube is king for like long form content. Like try to find, a handball match on Facebook. You'll never find it. You can't search for it. It doesn't make any sense. On YouTube, you type King of the Courts 2019 final, you're going to find King of the Courts 2019 final,
Yeah.
So my favorite, I'd say for short form Instagram and for long form YouTube, TikTok and Facebook are like,
They're there.
whatever to me. Even though TikTok, I have the most followers. I have like 130K almost.
Yeah, and I suppose as well, YouTube's been pretty good for live stuff, hasn't it? Like, and I suppose initially you were just filming games, and now people are tuning in from around the world to watch the game live. And and I had this conversation with someone else the other day as well, actually. Why do you think people love watching the live stuff? And even though that you could upload a game like an hour later, and there's something intangible about it, but I wonder what you thought.
I think it's being part of the experience, watching something live. Maybe for a lot of people, and I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to anyway. A lot of people in the New York handball scene like to bet on games.
Yeah.
So when you have $20, $50, $100 on the line, you want to know, you don't want to wait an hour after the game's over. You want to know as it's happening because like you're personally, literally invested into the match. But also like being part of that experience, like communally. It's getting to talk in the live chat, seeing a good shot happen, and like knowing that it just happened a few seconds ago in real time. That's something that is true of, all sorts of things. That's why streamers, I think, are doing so well right now compared to just regular content creators, like Asho Speed or Kai Sanat. Like, you guys have exploded in recent times, and it's a product of technology getting better. It's a product of all these things. So maybe that's part of it.
Yeah. Over time, I suppose that you're going to have different pressures, right? So you're going to have, I think when you started, you don't really have much pressure when you start your channel. You're just happy to be there. But then you have a following, then you have an audience, and the audience expects. So how have things changed for you in terms of like the pressure that's been on those shoulders?
That's a great question. I definitely do feel it. Like when I don't go to a tournament because of one thing or another, I get a bunch of people like DMing me like, yo, why aren't you at this tournament, bro? Like, I'm trying to watch these games live. So there's a bit of pressure for sure from like what the audience expects from you. But sometimes, your personal life is more important than these things. Has it affected me? I think sometimes, yes. I think sometimes I do prioritize going to these tournaments over other things because, one, the pressure of the audience, but two, the overarching dream of like what I have for handball. So it's like I'm putting in the time and investing now for a future that I can see and that I hope is bright for all of us. Like I would love to see handball reach a place that I know that it can be.
Yeah. Has that kind of passion for being someone who wants to help develop the game, was that always there, or has that come through your experience, through basically being in the back of so many matches and hearing what a lot of people are saying at the back of the court?
Before I started 10's Finest, I wasn't really into like the tournament scene and like the greater handball community. I was really just home at IS-10 or like, when I was in high school, I used to go to the mother park, but really just like local events and stuff. Did the passion for like wanting to see the sport grow come before or after 10's Finest? I think maybe a little bit before. This is like a very distinct memory. I used to like tutor this kid he lived in Manhattan, and he loved to play like all the generic American sports. So like, baseball and football and basketball and things like that. And this kid was a little bit more posh than like, I was growing up. So I played handball. My mom wasn't putting me in team sports and things like that because you got to pay for that. And I remember one day being like, oh, have you ever played handball? He was like, what the hell is handball? I've never even heard it. I like went on YouTube and I like typed in handball, and like every video was like, a home video. Someone threw a camera on a tripod. They uploaded the entire 48-minute match. People talking shit in the background. Sometimes like the camera's off, whatever. I guess part of like it at the beginning was I thought that I could present handball in a way that looked close to professional, better. And the vision in the beginning was I wanted it to be something that like pay all my bills and like I could just hang out and play handball, all day. So in a way, that was the vision in the beginning, to see the sport reach a level where like it could sustain people's lives. I think now it has gone much further than that. I really do think it's possible that one day people could be professional handball players and nothing else. It's just a matter of how much work is going to go into it,
Yeah. Am I allowed to ask you about whether you're able to fund your lifestyle or some of your lifestyle through the media you produce yet? Does uploading as much as you do like move the dial?
It moves the dial. I'm not going to say I don't get paid. It's not enough that like, I'm not ballroom.
Yeah, I can see you're talking to us from your apartment in New York and not your super yacht in the Mediterranean. So
right.
No.
As much as I'd like to be talking to you from my super yacht in the Mediterranean, no, I would need to be getting a lot more views than I'm currently getting on the long form content for it to be something that is sustainable to like paying my rent. buying my groceries, things like that. I wouldn't say that it's quite there yet. Tell your homies, subscribe, watch the videos.
Indeed, they should. And you touched on it before when you started talking about like characters and the stars. And I don't know about you, Christian, but like when I have been featured on Ten's Finest, the 1 or 2 times that I've been there, it actually feels great. And I know that you, the Crane, had a very successful time in New York this year, and you managed to get some stardom on Ten's Finest as well. How do you feel?
Yeah, so to say I'm a living icon these days, Dan, I think would be an understatement amongst the New York handball scene. But I mean, I completely agree from a personal level. When you get a video of yourself go online, as long as you're not looking totally stupid, and there are some of you looking totally stupid as well, but most of the others, it does give you a good boost, and I think it's a good way to encourage players as well. When you think, oh, if Ten's Finest is going to be here, I need to show up, because I don't want to. I don't want to be the person who's known on Ten's Finest for missing that killer shot. I want to be putting it away. So yeah, I do think it's a good way to encourage people to turn up to the things, and B, try their hardest, because they could be forever immortalized in Fame and Fortune.
Yeah, and again,
this is where you cut in that clip of him going for the spike and hitting the floor.
Yeah. Thanks, Bill.
Immortalize. Christian, before I come back to Phil on this question, because Phil has done so well in promoting the sport, doing replays from a player point of view, because you play for Team GB, you must have learned. There's only so much you can learn from me on a Tuesday night. But when you see the best players in the world, there must be 1 or 2 other things that you might learn. And how's that been for you? I guess Phil has probably revolutionized how you've thought about training.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I think this is a big benefit of, I guess, global media in general and the availability, but you're only kind of so good as the opponents you face. But it's also, you don't have to always face them in person anymore. Like you can, train by viewing, as you're saying, and you can, study, I guess, on opponents that you're about to face or that kind of thing. And I remember when I was in New York over the summer and I popped in to the apartment, and there were a couple of Basques in the apartment at the same time, and they were watching the, we'd set up the Europe versus America game for the following day. And so we were just chain watching all the videos that Phil had put up of our opponents, because we knew who the opponents were going to be. And we, his left hand's pretty weak if you go over arm and this kind of stuff. And then, yeah, as you say, the converse is suddenly you start watching, the Tavos play, and you see the whips that they can produce, and you think, oh yeah, I can probably do that. And then you go to training and you absolutely can't, and you realize, how far you have to go still. So yeah, there is a lot of seeing what's like, I guess, seeing the art of the possible. I think really helps with training, seeing like the shots that can be made and also the gets that can be got.
Yeah, I guess a luxury for you, Christian, is no matter how famous you get, you're so tall that almost nobody can replicate your shots even if they wanted to. So you have that in your top shots. And coming back to you, Phil, on the subject of those players, do you have players that, you basically, in your mind, you might have turned them into the stars of the show because of how they act on court, the shots they do, how cinematic they are? Are there people that you gravitate to?
I wouldn't say that there are people that I gravitate to. I think that what you're talking about is a product of how well that they do in tournaments. So you start to see the same people, in the quarters and the semis of open singles and open doubles and things like that. There are definitely people that get more views than others. I think that probably, one of the people that gets the most views is Gio, because of the way he is and his shot and his gameplay, but also how we act on the court. I get people going when he screams flame on. I do gravitate. So for example, if it's King of the Courts and a Gio game's about to happen, I'll go over to the people at Dodge and be like, hey, put that Gio game on this court because everybody wants to watch that game. I don't know, maybe I do gravitate for certain players. I try to get the games that will get more views to happen on the court that I'm streaming on, is the answer to that question. But also, I wanted to point out something about what Christian said was you were talking about how one of the added benefits of Ten's Finest is that it helps a lot of players learn and train visually just watching. And that's a comment that I've gotten a lot over the years. And even just people being like, they used to play handball and then they stumbled upon my videos just, on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, being on the site. Not that they were looking for handball, but that they found it. And they got inspired to start playing again, or people playing for the first time they never have. I get tons of comments of being like, how do I get involved in this? And I'm always like, there are courts all over. Just show up. If you want more information, you can DM me and I'll point you in the right direction for what you can do. So growing the sport, getting more people to play, I think is a huge thing that the videos have accomplished that otherwise wouldn't have happened. So
Yeah, I'd say that's a testament not just to the brand that you've produced as Ten's Finest, but also you, Phil. I mean, I think you've been, you're so generous with your time and even your space. I know there's a few people who've gone to New York that can't afford to stay in New York unless they have a sofa, and you put them up and then you can help them get to the courts. It's all that other stuff, which I think you go above and beyond. And I'm quite well traveled now, and I've been to New York a few times, and I don't think I've come across many people who are quite as generous as you in wanting to kind of grow the game. So thanks for that. I'm going to say a big thank you on behalf of everyone.
thank you.
But let's cut back to just a question I had, because you and I were messaging the other day, and you posted this incredible game from the Belgian Open of Loic Clement against Lourdes Ruster. It's an amazing game, but you messaged me before, the European games don't quite get the traction that the US games do. And I'm sure some US games don't get, if they're amazing, you want them to be seen and they aren't. Do you know, what drives the audience at the moment? Is that something that you think you can control or you want to change? Is it even possible?
That's also a great question. You're like that dude from Hot Wings. You know what I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it is a damn shame that the European matches don't get the love that they deserve. Even that match you were just talking about, the Loic versus Mood, that match is really... Did you actually watch it, Mac?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's really, really good. At the end of the second game and the end of the third game, even the first game, I think it was 15-13. But I think I sent you a screenshot too. It's middle of the road in terms of how my videos perform. I think it's got 500 views right now. And had that been, great example, Timbo Mikel. Timbo is a very well-known player. That video has 1,300 views right now. I think what needs to be done, and this is part of the reason why I offer my home to these guys, is they need to come here and prove they can hang with these people. Because they can. Luke Thompson just fucking looked you. He slammed single man double.
I'm actually seeing that people are beginning to know Luke. They start to mention him. They are starting to seek out his games.
Exactly, So I think when I put a Luke Thompson video up, it does pretty well. I think Lur and Mikel, prior to having been here this summer, nobody knew who the hell they were, which sucks because they're amazing players. And they came here and they proved themselves. Both of them at King of the Courts had such notable wins. Mikel beat Josh Rosa at King of the Courts when he did the event that Christian was talking about, the New York versus Europe. He beat Gerardo Ruiz, who is the number 1 B singles player right now. 21-1? Christian, do you remember?
Yeah, it was convincing.
Yeah, more than convincing. He had, I'm trying to remember more of his ones, but I can't right now. But Lur, he scored fucking 12 points on Davo, or 13. I think he did maybe the best of everyone besides the final against him. I think Tyshawn did really well. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that they both came here, and Christian as well, and they had tons of amazing matches, and I think that helped. Had Lur not been here, I think that video would have got half the views that it currently have.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason why, I try to, every time I go to these European events, I'm like, hey guys, come to New York. I know it's not easy, but if you need a place to stay, you can stay in my house for free. And that's what the hell you guys did last time. There was 5 of us in here. We make it work because I think it's a good thing for the sport if it is, and players that come from overseas are more recognized and given the love and respect that they deserve.
Well, that's a really powerful thing to say. I really appreciate it for someone who's working the game as well. I'm interested, Phil, as well, because you have traveled now, and you have like tennis finals has taken you around the world. People want you to be broadcasting it in the European events, for example. But what has that opened your eyes up to? Because, you see a lot of New York comments, and Christian could do a pretty good example of people saying, you suck, everyone sucks. No matter, these are C players in New York. But you've traveled now, like you've seen like a wider context, the different kind of professionalism over here. Has it opened your eyes, and has it made you want to say stuff to people back in New York as well?
Yeah. I don't know that when I started, I ever thought that I'd be doing the things that I'm doing now. It is a massive, massive privilege and like honor to get to travel as much as I have, especially like you said, most of the time, it's these guys that are doing the tournaments flying me out because, they love the videos and the work that I do. So I'm super, super grateful to like be able to do that. Has it opened my eyes? Absolutely. I think that when you get to travel and see handball in an even greater context, internationally around the world, you really, really start to believe that it's possible that this game can be on the same level as tennis is. I love being at any of the Euro One Wall or One Wall World Tour stops and like seeing the little like corners of like, there are all the Dutch people like talking in their language, and then there are all the Basques over there talking in their language, and then there's the Spanish guys speaking Spanish, and then the English are over there being really nice to everybody, and it's so cool seeing like the world come together. It's like a little tiny baby Olympics. So traveling to these events, like it opens your eyes in a way that just playing in New York doesn't, to the potential of like, I could see the world playing this sport genuinely. And that, why that sure exists.
Yeah. For those of you who are listening to this and not watching, you can imagine that Phil has a massive picture of a world on the back of his back.
Playing the sport.
Yeah. Phil, I'm aware we're coming to the end of the podcast really, but I just want to ask you about next steps. You've been doing it for 6 years. What's next?
That's a good question. I think keep doing what I'm doing. There's a lot of new organizations popping up that are doing great things. Next Generation Handball is kind of like consolidated the events into a bit of a tour themselves. So they have, formerly the Buddha Memorial Tournament, now the Coney Island Open, the Best of the West in California, Florida versus the World coming up at the end of this February, which if you guys can make, you definitely should. Great event. Would highly recommend. I think if it's possible, come to the more of the One Wall World Tour stuff, continue growing in that way internationally. And, keep doing what I'm doing. We'll see. I'm open to ideas. DM me. What do you got?
I was wondering, so what kind of like, you've made some advances in recent times about, we've had slow motion, we've got multiple angles, we've got live stream on course, you've even got scoreboards and referee course now. And are you kind of looking at the next stage of tech to make it even more kind of like professional?
Yeah, you're right about that. We have been working on stuff. So I think in the next few months' time, you're going to start to see more of like these advancements that we've made in terms of production, but also in terms of like keeping the sport organized. So we're working on more of that stuff. Maybe more. So just recently, I bought a second computer now too. So like some of the big tournaments we go to, we're able to stream 2 high quality production streams with the scoreboards and the replays and the referee card and everything. So more of that. And yeah, I'll end it up by saying like, if you want to see more of this growth, you want to see this to continue, subscribe, watch the videos, tell your homies that take an interest in handball to check it out, follow us on all platforms. It's the best way to help grow and to do all these things that we want to see done.
Yeah, so check out Tennis Finest. Phil, I think you do an absolutely amazing job, and I'm pretty sure that the visibility of the sport around the world is in no small part due to you. So thank you from me. Christian, you want to say anything to Phil before we have a bitch about him when he leaves the chat?
No, I would say 3 things. Firstly, I'm extremely glad that when I came, I got the bed and Dan and he got the sofa. So that really, I think, cements our relationship together. And also, I'm glad as a techie that you've kept your tech roadmap cryptic and secret and haven't overcommitted any dates for the fun stuff we're going to see over the next couple months, just in case the competitors try and get an edge. But yeah, I for one am excited to see what's about to come.
Thank you guys. And it means a lot because like oftentimes people don't really like, they take these things for granted, you know? So when you guys show love and appreciation and gratitude for the hard work that I put in, it really means a lot, and it really like drives me forward and makes me want to keep going. So thank you guys so much for all the love. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time, Phil.
Have a great night or day or whatever time it is where you are, Dan and Christian.
Thanks, Phil. Have a good one.
Ball slapping, it's a podcast all about slapping them balls.
So, Christian, that was Phil. What a dickhead.
I know. So awful. Not generous at all, that guy.
No. So, yeah, now that you spent a bit of time with him, but you've really got to know the story of Ten's Finest as well. Like, do you have even more respect for that journey now?
Yeah, I mean, I think I always have respect, A, for people who really follow their passions, and B, for people who strive to make their work better. So like it's the kind of principle of anything worth doing is worth doing well. And I think you really see that with Phil, where everything that he uploads, he will take feedback, he will take comments, he will think proactively, like, how do I take this to the next step all the time? And you really see that evolution. Or, I mean, I've only been in handball 5 years, but my handball journey is basically completely overlapped with when Phil started his thing. And I have seen, I think like the steps as they go along. So yeah, I think that's great to witness.
It's lovely to witness, isn't it? And I just, like I said at the beginning, I think about other sports and people who are trying to do it with other like little minority sports which are taking off. And if you are coming from that background, or even just someone who's interested in filming your own games, if it's like tennis or something big like that, I encourage you to watch Phil's stuff. Like, his modern stuff has scoreboards and things that require laptops, but before that, you just need a phone camera and a bit of time and dedication. Set the right angle up. And, we've had a bit of a debate about this. I remember talking to Phil about it last time. When I film, I kind of set things up at a high angle, and he sets things up from like eye line behind you. So you're really into the dirty business of playing, which I think is really fun. And again, that's his step away from like traditional broadcast media for what would be something like this. So, I kind of admire like how steadfast he is in his vision moving forward. I'm kind of excited to see what's coming up next.
Yeah. But again, he's open to the kind of suggestion. So I think, previously in New York, commentary was very much frowned upon. You wanted kind of quiet as you watched the game. But then a few little British voices started creeping in on the commentary, and actually some of the fans quite liked it. And then, now it's a bit more of a mixed bag. Some games do get some commentary, and some comments are pretty positive on, wow, I like this guy, Dan. Don't know what he's saying, but he's saying it in a cool voice.
It's true. I think I'm probably more famous as a commentator than a player. On the Ten's Finest channel now. If anyone at home wants to check out the US Open semi-finals from, I think it's like 2023, it's Luke Thompson versus Tave. I don't think I hold back, and it's a good for the commentary. Anyway, yeah, I love talking to him. As someone who works in media myself, like I'm so impressed with what he does. We've tried to do things on, the world tour ourselves, and to be honest, I just don't have the time. I don't know how he has the time to edit all this stuff together, and also to like power through the audience, because it must take a while to ramp up the audience. And certainly I've put time and effort into stuff in Europe and no one watches it, and it's really disappointing. So, the passion is seeding through there. So yeah, super to talk to him, and excited to see what's happening next. I kind of want to make sure there's more videos of the crane. So he does need to come over to the world tour another time.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, Christian, thanks as always for joining me today.
Pleasure, Daniel.
I hope to get you back on the podcast soon to talk about some more fun sports.
Excellent.
Cool. Right, take care, and we'll see you next time.
Catch you later.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Live from the wall, east side to the west. Ten's Finest in the building, you already know the rest. Phil got the angles, Phil got the views. King of the court with a camera, he can't lose. Slow-mo magic, worldwide vibes. Ten's Finest in the game, and he keeps it alive. Started with a dream, now the whole scene follows. YouTube numbers climbing like the court got hollows. Insta blowing up with the real so clean. TikTok on fire like the summer concrete. He stays up late, that edit life vicious. Cutting every frame till the handball looks delicious. Players look pro when he hits that zoom. Except Christian Blackerby, clear the room. We joke but the legend stays kind as ever. Hosting world travelers like it is no pressure. Couches, spare rooms, hospitality crazy. Filming all day but never getting lazy. Phil got the angles, Phil got the views. King of the court with a camera he can't lose. Slow-mo magic, worldwide vibes. 10's finest in the game and he keeps it alive. Sure in Spain, he might miss one call. Ref in the sun, man, he gave the ball. But he bounced right back like he ran the set. Cause he brought Dan Grant and the whole internet. Went wild when ball slaps hit the mic. Commentary so high they lit up the night. East Coast laughing, West Coast shook. Everybody posting like, give me that look. Handball hero with a YouTube crown. He carried the sport and he holds it down. Vision so sharp like a one-wall blast. 10's finest, future looking built to last. No, Phil got the angles, Phil got the views. King of the court with a camera he can't lose. Slow-mo magic, worldwide vibes. 10's finest in the game and he keeps it alive. From the park to the world, he is raising the bar. Handball hero in the lens, YouTube star. If you talk the sport, then you talk his name. 10's finest forever, running the game.